welcome. In front of me I have the brand new Samsung Galaxy S22, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick overview of this phone. So anyway, let's just pop it straight open. There we go. What? Didn't I cut this? I did, what the heck? Okay, so anyway, get some kind of different little bit of packaging, get the phone itself, looking really nice to be honest. Underneath we get our cable and some paperwork, and that's basically all we get. I'm not even gonna bother taking it out. So here, obviously it's the phone. So this is going to be the smallest one out of all of them. And the screen right here is at 6.1 inches. So like I said, one of the smaller one. Overall, it's actually one of the smaller phones that has come out in recent timing, which I do appreciate, honestly. I do prefer my phones to be on a smaller side rather than have like the almost tablet-like size of the screen. So yeah, this is actually appreciated. So with the smaller size of the phone also comes some of the drawbacks, like for instance a smaller battery. So compared to, for instance, the S22 Plus, which was rocking a 4500 mAh battery, this one is rocking a 3700. So you do have a drawback in battery, obviously. I'm gonna quickly go through the setup, or as quick as I can, till I actually get stopped by the new change in Samsung's setup, which is absolutely abhorrent. So number one, I shouldn't be able to skip this, because why the hell would I be able to? So let me quickly connect to some kind of Wi-Fi. And that will give me another stupidity of Samsung, which is, give it a second, and you can already see it here grayed out. Some stupid reason I need to restart the device. What? Why? Why do I need to do this? Anyway. I'll be completely honest with you, I'll be talking over this while the phone is setting up for the next 10 minutes, just because the initial first setup is absolutely stupidly long for no reason, honestly. I haven't encountered any phone at any price range, at any year, that has been going through the setup as long as this thing is going right now. And this is not just this phone, it's the entire S22 lineup, and additionally also the, S8 tabs. So tablets, and yeah, at least that's what I have tested, and all of them are doing the same thing, which is set up for like 10 minutes and by getting something ready, which you can see right, I think here, or on the next page. Anyway, I kind of went on a little rant right here, so let's get back to the actual overview of this phone. So like I said, it's a 6.1 inch display, it's a 1080p by 2340 inches, so honestly at this screen size, it's a great display. It has a 425 pixels per inch, so like I said, really good. It's a dynamic AMOLED with a 120 Hz refresh rate, HDR10 Plus, and peak brightness of 1300 nits. So everything here looks good, and screen to body ratio of 87.4%. Now, I will be honest, on the this looks amazing in terms of the display and the bezels that you have right here, though I believe the bezels are the same size on the S Plus, though because the phone is bigger, it just looks much more like edge-to-edge display basically. So it still looks really nice, but it will look a little bit more eye-catchy on the bigger version, just because you have a way bigger screen and the bezels thus appear a little bit smaller because of it, though I don't think they are. And moving into the camera department, when we flip it over, we have the same kind of design of the cameras as we did on the previous one, the S21, with this kind of being like the part of almost the bezel right here, just a aesthetic look. And the cameras on here that we have is a 15 megapixel wide sensor, then we got a 10 megapixel telephoto and 12 megapixel ultra wide. So the cameras here are really good. I think it's a from what I remember, it's a massive improvement from what we had before, because it was like triple 12 megapixels right here, so now we have a 50, so that's great, though I don't quote me on that one. I might remember it incorrectly or just mix up the phones. But still, 50 megapixels and fairly decent camera setup right here. And obviously because it's a Samsung, so you can push the video recording and all that stuff to absolute ridiculousness, like 8K 24, 4K 30 or 60 and so on. Obviously we also have the slow motions and the actual like continuous slow motion recordings, so yeah, so you can go wild here. And with that, we have a couple versions of storage for that recording and anything else that you'd like, of 128 gig storage or 256. And from what I remember, I don't think we can expand storage on here any further, but I will check. Yep, no expandable storage. So, sadly 256 is max what you get, and if you're planning to record at 8K, you most likely will run out of that space really quickly. So that's a little bit of a bummer. 256 is actually really small for a flagship device with no expandable storage. Not really sure what they were thinking here. But luckily it is also on a UFS 3.1, so it is going to be a blazing fast storage for that 8K recordings. You might not be recording much, but you'll be recording it and encoding it really quickly. So yeah, and actually I did the setup relatively quickly here. Before on the other ones I could basically go through the entire spec sheet of the phone and it would still be doing whatever it was doing. So this one is apparently a little bit faster for some reason, not exactly sure why. Maybe it was some update or something. But yeah, let's move on. At the front right here we have a 10 megapixel wide sensor. Again, you can shoot at 4K, 30, 60, 1080p, so same thing. So great sensor, obviously it's gonna look really good. And moving on to the last couple of things, obviously we're gonna have like under display fingerprint sensor, we have wireless charging, we have wireless reverse charging. So the reverse charge, or not reverse, the wireless charging is at 15 watts and reverse one is at 4.5. Let's see if I can actually find it. I do have a embedded Qi charger under the desk, though I probably should have thought about it before and embedded it in a more visible place. Let me zoom out. There we go, we can now kind of get a glimpse of the desk. You can see the phone right here, it's not plugged in or anything, and let me just lift it up. It stopped charging, and I'm gonna lock it, place it back down. And you can see that it is charging. So there we go. Now it doesn't look like, it doesn't show up any kind of like fast charging or anything like that, but I assume it is. It's just not visible. Some phones when you, whoops, a little bit too close. Some phones when you actually charge them really quickly, like the super fast charging or whatever it's called, they have like a different animation or different little logo there. This one didn't look like it did. And this is a one of the like, I think 45 watt chargers, wireless one, so it's a little bit absurd. It gets warm, but it does the job. So this should be charging at a faster rate. Anyway, last thing is the wired charging, and it is rated for apparently 25 watts, so it is an improvement, I think, from what I remember over the old ones, though it's still quite trash when you compare it to any kind of other phones at this price range and this year. Like, goodness, my phone, which is like 3 years old, has, what was it, 30 watt charging, and it's 3 years old. Right now I can buy the same phone for like 250 bucks. And at least it will charge quicker. Cameras probably will be worse, and everything else will be worse, but in terms of charging, I don't get why Samsung is constantly behind on that one. Are they really that scared of their phones exploding again? Anyway, let's get back to the phone. So honestly, there's not much more to say about it. The design right here looks really good. It basically has a lot of the similarities of the bigger version of it, just a cheaper price tag. So screen size is smaller, battery is smaller, but other than that, almost everything else is about the same. We have also, like if I compare it to the bigger boy, the S22 Plus, same kind of amount of storage, so it has 128 and 256, both with 8 gigs of RAM. No choice there. Both with the same kind of storage type, same cameras, same display resolution, though obviously the plus one will have a bigger screen. Batteries obviously will be bigger on the bigger boy. Same Exynos 2200. So yeah, they're virtually the same phones, just on a smaller package. And at the end of the day, I do like this one more, just because number one, it's going to be a little bit cheaper. So this one comes at around 670 bucks or 669. Nice. While the bigger one comes at 960 apparently. So you have to pay more for something that I wouldn't consider being worth more. They're virtually the same phones. Let's see if there's any kind of difference in charging. Okay, there is one. The bigger one can charge at 45 watts instead of the 25 that this one can. I assume this is done strictly to make the bigger one a little bit more appealing and just so you spend more, but trust me, it is not worth paying over $100 more for just like 20 watts more of charging. It is absolutely effing absurd that this is even a choice. So yeah. So to finish this off, I really like this phone, just strictly because it is on a smaller side, and I really miss phones being a little bit more pocketable. This, like, the trend with them having like 6 approaching 7 inches display is just to me a little bit ridiculous, and I don't need a TV in my pocket. I do know that some people just prefer their phones to be a little bit bigger. I'm the exact opposite here, so this one fits that gap really well. It could be smaller, but to be fair, this is a flagship still, so I do like it. It has a nice design. Other phone that I can compare this to, though, and at this point the phone is a little bit old, would be the Zenfone 8. Zenfone 8 I think had like 5.8 inches display, so smaller than this one, and it was also rocking a Snapdragon 888 if I remember correctly, though don't quote me on that one. It was at the time it was released, it was absolutely just a flagship at whatever it was doing, but it had this really horrendous design of like just the phone itself, how it looked like. The camera bump was just like kind of offset, so it wasn't symmetrical in any kind of way. It looked absolutely annoying and stupid, and that alone bugged me with my semi-OCD look at the phone. So this one looks way better, just a tiny bit more bigger display, and yeah, I probably would pick this one over the Zenfone just because of that camera at the back. It looked absolutely horrendous. So yeah, at the end of the day, this is I guess a phone that fits a gap that not many phones fit at this time. And even though it's made by Samsung, and even though it has some stupid gimmicks that Samsung just cannot omit from their production of their phones, it's not like people that are looking for small phones have much of a choice here. So if you're looking for something that is like at a 6 inches display, this is probably one of the only phones, or one of the 2, 3 maybe phones that you can pick from. I think Google Pixel has a small one, like I said, Zenfone, and this now, that are actual like good phones. So yeah, I guess anybody who likes small phones got another one, though like I said, it's Samsung, so it has some of its gimmick. Personally, just to point them out, a couple of them, crappy wireless, or not wireless, but crappy charging through a cable, to me at this age is just not very like acceptable for a flagship phone. Number 2, no expandable storage. It's just stupid, and especially that this phone maxes out at 256 gigs is just absolutely absurd. And what else? I think honestly those are the 2 like main ones. So yeah, anyway, the phone itself is great. Probably the only thing that I wouldn't really like here is the Exynos, just because in the previous times Exynos wasn't necessarily the most like greatest processor. Hopefully they fixed it up. I haven't actually tested it much, haven't looked into it, but also I haven't seen any kind of like reviews that would just say that the new Exynos is absolutely garbage or overheats or does something. So I guess that should leave me hopeful a little bit. But yeah, anyway, so this was the look on the new S22, just a standard one, and honestly it's a fairly decent phone. Looks nice, feels nice, looks premium, lacks in a couple of features, but still, for the money, I have to say that it is quite competitively priced. That's probably one of the most important things I should mention. This phone has virtually a flagship, but a little bit more reasonable price tag of like 670 bucks, even if it like approaches 8 to 900. For Samsung, this is an outstanding price, considering like their S22 approaches 1000 and Ultra approaches like 1200 or more. And there are other phones, obviously, like for instance one that I have right here, just to put that in perspective, like the Xperia Pro 1, this one approaches 1500. It's not worth that much, but at least not to me, but to some people it might be. This approaches more on a reasonable side for someone that doesn't live in US and doesn't earn dollar money, but for instance earns some trash currency like I do, where it's a quarter of what a dollar is. So this phone, I mean, still will cost a pretty penny for me, but hey, it's actually a much more reasonable price device. So hell yeah. So anyway, this will conclude the actual like overview of this phone, and I have to say it's fairly nice. I might actually think about switching to such a phone. Exactly this version of it, the S22, just because of the size. And honestly, the first look at it and overview seems to be very positive, at least to me. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.